we did a compost of food waste at the University of Florida. We actually built a solid waste composting facility out at Trek, out here at the University of Florida. And we took food waste from Morrison's cafeteria, University of Miami's food court, some culls from Florida City from the packing houses, and mulch. And we did that in aerated static piles. And we made the most beautiful potting soil you could ever see. But the hardest thing was, we called it the cow project, clean organic waste. And we didn't charge a tipping fee to collect their garbage. We actually paid a bonus to the workers if they would keep it clean, and they could. We were getting whole table settings of cups and bottles and forks and knives. And so what we ended up having to do is what I call compost ugly. We composted all that together, and then after 3 months with this technology, then we would screen it. And we'd screen off the bad material. What fell through the screen was nice and pretty. All the nurseries that we tested it here in Dade County just loved it. Dade County, though, didn't like the idea because every ton of garbage that they don't get in their landfill, they lose $71. So it's all money. $71 a ton tipping fee. So they didn't want anything to mess with their revenue. So they want the garbage. They don't saving the planet, doing the right thing, never enters into the picture. It's just amazing. But again, we made some really beautiful material. Had a permitted facility, and the leachate water that ran off of this material was collected in a pond. And instead of chemically treating this water that was run off of through the garbage and everything, we just aerated it with air. And aeration cleaned it up. It was just as clean as drinking water when we got done. You know, aeration is really, people that have trouble with their ponds and their land, and they're all full of green algae in the summertime, it's because there's no oxygen. You put an aerator in there, it'll fix it just like that. You don't have chemicals in there, you don't have to do anything else. And oxygen does such great things. That's what composting is all about. So, we've been up and down with the compost. The rules have changed. The laws have changed. Now you can't use the sludge unless it is AA and it's treated in the way it is, which is probably a good thing. But of course, a lot of the municipalities and the cities don't want to do it because it's expensive to do it. But right now, we're marketing about 10,000 tons of the AA material. Brooks Tropical here in town is not buying any commercial fertilizer this year. They just bought 3,000 tons of this and spread it. So you'll smell it out there in the world. And that's probably Jared Brooks or Medora Chrome Groves is another one of our big customers. Grove Services. A lot of the tropical fruits really like this material. Dan Lyons used to be the baby doctor here in town, and he decided to be a farmer. And he grows lychees, and lychees don't like commercial fertilizer. So this type of stuff just, the plants really flourish. So this is the, if you like to look at it, that's what the product is. It has a little bit of odor, but not really something real offensive. It doesn't smell like what it's made out of, that's for sure.
So what would be the alternative for this sludge if you were composting it?
Landfill. And that's
what all just be in landfill?
All landfill. The county, we pay the county for this material, right? The county opts most of the material ends up in landfill, and they pay Wayne Hussing at $67 a ton to take it to the competent landfill. Okay? And so, yeah, and this is a great material. It's got 5% nitrogen in it. It's got a full percent of iron in there. And iron costs $6 a pound. No, I'll tell you that. Yes, sir.
How's it work for vegetable products?
Works really good for vegetable products.
Safe?
Yeah, safe. The reason Milorganite's not safe is it's full of cadmium. Cadmium comes from high industrial parts of the world. Black Point out here has no industry. It's all from homes. And so, the sludge rule that the federal government came with back in 1990 was that if you were applying sludge on a piece of land, that they would allow you to put 40 pounds of cadmium on an acre of land. The state of Florida came in and said, "Oh, that's terrible, 4 pounds." So I said, "Well, that still doesn't make me happy." So I calculated how much was in a ton of our material, and you could put 6 tons to the acre for 600 years, and you wouldn't even get close to 4 pounds. So then I felt a little bit better about it. After I did the math, and we did a lot of reporting and everything, and a lot of research with that. So the sludge has been up and down, and right now we're having a problem with the county because they don't. They're telling us they're having trouble testing the metals after 30 years in their laboratory, which is ridiculous. But somewhere politically, somebody's upset with us, and the landfill people, and the fertilizer companies, and they have an awful lot of pull. And of course, fertilizer companies that are smart, they'll work with us because it does make their fertilizer work better. And they they might sell a little less, but they're gonna get a lot more customers because it really does work. So about 2 years ago, the Department of Agriculture came to our group and said, we're getting ready to pass a law in Okeechobee, Florida, where all the dairies are, that they're not going to allow the spreading of cow manure on the land, period. They've been doing it for 50 years, they've overdone it, the phosphorus is in the soil. Every time it rains, the phosphorus ends up in the Kissimmee River, the Kissimmee River ends up in Lake Okeechobee, which causes algae blooms. They said, since you guys know a lot about composting, we're going to fund a big project to try to show the farmers how to get rid of the manure without spreading it on their land or landfill. And so they invested in this in-vessel composting equipment, which is basically the big drum is 60 feet long and 20 feet tall, and it turns 4 times an hour. And you have flutes inside that make the material move. And so they built this facility, and I go out there to start it up, and it was quite a challenge. I know a lot about composting, and I really have a hard time making this stuff get hot and compost. And what was happening is this barn, this farm, the dairy farm had 1,000 cows. They made 40 tons of manure a day. Yeah, 40 a day. And they had a flush system. I don't know if you noticed the new dairies these days, but all the cows live inside. And they choose to. They have misters and fans, and they change their bedding while they're milking them, and I mean, they just hang out inside these big ventilated barns. And so they have big water tanks, and the back of where the cows are is a concrete alleyway, and they flush the manure out of the barns down to me. And I got 2 basins the size of 2 football fields. And the material was very wet at that time. There's boards on the door that are horizontal. The water goes out and it's solid stay. But it still didn't make the material dry. So I went back to the technology that we use for the sewage sludge. We just dry it in the sun. We have basins out there, and we just turn it in the sun with water, and it does a great job. We tried squeezers and screw presses to squeeze the water out. Well, when we squeeze the water out, all the nutrients went under the water. The black water ran out. We use evaporation, the nutrients stay in the material. So we found that the best way to do this is sun dry it and put it in this machine. This machine is incredible. I mean, and it works just like the little machine that you have. It's the same idea. But you put this in the machine, and this holds 90 cubic yards. And you put in 30 the first day, 30 the second day, 30 the third day. And then every day you put in 30 and you take out 30. And in 3 days, we reach the temperatures of 165 degrees. That kills the weed seeds, kills any pathogens that are in this material, renders it odor-free. And the good thing about it is traditional composting, you can compost for 2 or 3 months. Well, that eats up all the bacteria, devour the plant nutrients, and so you don't have much left when they're done. And with this 3-day process, you have a processed cow manure that's heat treated with all your nutrients retained. So this cow manure product has really turned out to be really nice. The other thing is that Canadian peat is so hard to get now, and shipping is so high, and they've just permitted the last peat farm in the state of Florida for Florida peat. The state of Florida says it's a natural resource and we cannot mine it. So we need a replacement for peat. Well, this is the cow manure material. And as you see, it's very light and fluffy. Has the nutrients